So, as a secondary social studies teacher, I think my classroom library is one of the best tools I can have to have students experience diversity through different cultures. Even though I don't teach world history and I teach U.S. history, early U.S. history, I still encourage students. I always have like book recommendations, and this is actually one of the books that our seventh graders read with our seventh grade teachers because I recommended it. It is called Facing the Lion, and it's growing up Maasai on the African savannah. So this is about a story um, of a man who grew up in the Maasai tribe in Kenya, and he eventually did come over to America. So he wrote this book based on his life. And so one of the um, parts that I really connected with was he's talking about going to school. At the time, they required at least one child from each family to go to school. And so this, it can kind of cause a disconnect between the families. So this part says, I think the toughest part, tougher than the school, than the food, than walking home, was that gradually I was coming home to people who were not the same as I was anymore. When I got home, I could see myself a little bit differently. I'd be taking care of the cattle or talking to my family about different things, and I'd be able to explain how my name was written. I'd show my brothers, and they would try to copy it, or I could teach them some English or some math. It's so hard to explain the way it felt to be a little kid with a culture that was mine and another culture that I was learning. So this is really impactful because this is a child who grows up within a nomadic tribe in a rural part of Kenya, and here he is going to an English missionary school. And so you see that people feel pulled in different directions all over the world, not just within the United States or cultures that we might be a little bit more experienced with. So Facing the Lion, it's a really quick read, a really good read for especially like middle school readers. And then the other book is One Half from the East. So this is set in Afghanistan, and especially now with Afghanistan being kind of more, students being more aware of things that are happening in Afghanistan this last year with us pulling troops from there. It was nice to kind of be able to direct them to books that explain their culture a little bit more. So this book was really interesting. It talks about their father loses a leg in a bomb explosion, so they have to move from Kabul to a small village. So you get this city life picture and the rural picture of Afghanistan, and you get to really learn the family values in their culture. So this passage, I really think it connected with me because it talks about their food and just kind of their overall house setup, and then also it brings in their religion. It says, my mother makes a pot of stew with steaming white rice. We sit around the tablecloth spread on the living room floor. Neela asks my father to join us. We all hear him say what he says every day. Maybe tomorrow, sweet girl. My mother piles hot mounds of rice on plates for each of us. Then she stirs the pot of stew with a metal ladle. She pours the saucy mix of chicken and vegetables onto my plate first, and then onto my sister's plate. Mother, Neela cries out in protest when she looks at her dish. I just have potatoes and onions. I thought you said you made chicken for dinner tonight. This is a big deal because it's not too often that we get to eat chicken. My uncle sent some over because of the 3-day Eid holiday that marks Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son for God. I've heard the story before and was really glad to hear God didn't actually take his son. Now it's just a holiday where we pray, visit family, and get to eat really well. We've been looking forward to this meal all day. So this one I love because it's definitely a fiction book, but you really get to like picture where you are. This author is very descriptive, and so you get to learn about the Islam religion. You get to learn about the family values in Afghanistan and different. It really puts it in a modern day perspective for students, whereas it doesn't feel like this happened 100 years ago. So that's what I really love about this book.